it's Matrixity from Matrixity Muses. Welcome to my Matrix. It's a gorgeous day here. The wind is blowing. I'm at White Point Gardens, you know, the hanging place for our pirates, but it's a lovely day. We've got a nice breeze and it's not too hot. And I'm listening to some Brahms. I love classical music, so some of my favorite tunes are being played right now on NPR. So that is what I'm listening to, but I'm going to turn that down in just a minute. But it is Brahms. And I just want to talk a little bit about our changing times. Turn that down. You know, it seems like when you think about life, the only constant we have is change. You know, we think things are going to stay the same and we get into our routines, but life comes along and shakes everything up. So change is really our only constant. And when I look back on it, you know, there are some things that were around when I was a little girl that don't exist anymore. And I'm sure if you think about your life, there are some things that you could probably think about too that would fall into the same category. Now, before we get started, I do want to ask you one favor. Please subscribe. I think there's a little red button down below where you can actually click to subscribe to my channel. Please do that. I would appreciate it so much. Thank you to everybody who already has subscribed. So I do look forward to hopefully growing my channel. So thank you. Like and subscribe for me. And tell everyone that you are watching Matrixity some days when I post. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is this month. When I think about this lovely breeze blowing right now, September. You know, September is when we had Labor Day. And with Labor Day comes the biggest fashion change of the year. I mean, it's still in my mind because it was instilled in my mind when I was a little girl. When September hits, when Labor Day comes, there's no more white after Labor Day. I don't care that we live in Charleston and this is a tourist town and it's a beach town and it's a resort town where white and floral colors and light colors can be worn year round. It's after Labor Day. You're not supposed to wear white. And so when Labor Day hits, that instantly comes to mind. You know, I don't wear white after Labor Day as far as solid white clothing. And that's something I just can't get away from. So when I see people wearing white, it just clicks automatically that it's after Labor Day. They should be wearing that. And I think the most egregious example I had of that was some years ago. I was working in an office setting and it was probably November and it was freezing cold. And my coworker walked in and she had on a pair of white sandals. I'm like, what? What are you wearing? First of all, her toes had to be freezing because it was a bitterly cold day and she had on white summer sandals in November. No white after Labor Day, people, no white. But I know here in Charleston, you know, that's not the rule anymore and people aren't really paying attention to that anymore. They wear whatever they want all the time. But that's something that's a change, you know, wearing white after Labor Day. You know, for me, you know, once Labor Day comes, it's time to break out the only colors you can wear in winter when it in the white category. Things like bone, ecru, winter white, cream. Those are the only colors you can wear until Easter. Once Easter comes, it's on for wearing white clothes. So that's the biggest thing. The other thing that I noticed that people don't do anymore is dress up for church. When I was little, you had to wear a dressy dress every Sunday. Pantyhose, high heel shoes, gloves, the whole 9 yards. Today, everything is come as you are, so casual. You can wear shorts to church. And you know, with our times today, it's all good. You know, I have a church that you can wear anything you want. You can wear dressy, you can wear casual, but it's anything you want just as long as you show up because you're there to worship God and it's not about your clothing. It really isn't. But the times of, you know, dressing up for church on Sundays, you know, I think depending on the church you go to, those times are kind of gone. So, you know, a little bit less casual is okay wherever you go. Now, the other thing, which was big when I was little, was not only did you have to dress up for church, but you had to wear gloves. You know, excuse me, this nice pleasant breeze is blowing hair everywhere. But you had to wear gloves. I remember wearing gloves every single Sunday. And you had at least your basic pairs. You had black, you had brown, you had cream, and you had white. And depending on what you were wearing that Sunday, you'd match your gloves to your outfit. So that was a big thing, wearing gloves. You didn't go out the house on a Sunday without gloves. Now, the other days of the week, you didn't have to wear gloves, but you always wore gloves on a Sunday. The other thing, too, is when you think about coordinating outfits, your purse and your shoes had to match. Oh my God, you could not go outside without a purse and shoes that didn't match. You were just, no, that was a fashion no-no. So, I still to this day, try to match my purse and shoes. They kind of go together, but, today anything kind of goes. Your purse can be multicolored, your shoes can be multicolored. You could be tennis shoes with a purse, it doesn't matter. But for dressy occasions, your purse, your shoes had to match, and your gloves. So there you go. Things were a little bit more formal when it came to dressing up. Today anything goes. When you think about food, some of our food mores and things have changed also. I remember when I was little, we had teas. Real tea, when you think about Downton Abbey and Lady Mary and Lady Edith, yes, that kind of tea. At churches, we would have tea for fundraisers, like there was an annual tea, and you actually would have tea with the big teapots and, scones and cakes and all sorts of goodies, heavy hors d'oeuvres going with that tea. I don't know if people do that much anymore. I know that our church, we had a tea for a fundraiser for our choir a couple years ago. We had a couple of high teas, but high tea was big. And you could actually go to high tea in restaurants. When I lived in North Carolina, I went to a high tea with one of my girlfriends, and we had a grand old time. We got dressed up, we wore our hats, and we went to high tea at a restaurant, and it was lovely. So that was a great thing. I don't see that around Charleston. You would think here, where we are, we would have high teas, but I haven't seen that offered anywhere at a restaurant in a very, very long time. The other thing was you didn't have to go out to have tea. You would actually have teas at home and invite people over to have teas. Now, the closest thing I've come to that myself is when the series Downton Abbey was on television. Every Sunday night, I had tea. And I would invite my friend Sylvia, and so Sylvia would come over, and Whitney and I, we would have tea when we watched Downton Abbey. I would get ready pretty much the whole day. We had Downton Abbey teas, other teas, we had wine, we had scones, and of course at that time Downton Abbey had their own kind of like food line, so I would buy the Downton Abbey cookies, and we'd have all sorts of grand things, but it was a wonderful time. Having tea every Sunday night, watching Downton Abbey was a great thing. I missed that. So I was glad that I had the chance to do that because it was a lot of fun. So having tea was always a great thing, which I missed that. The other thing was we actually had suppers when I was little, and it seems like, just from what I can remember, we'd have breakfast, lunch was early, lunch was always no later than like noon. Then you would have dinner. Dinner was early. You would have dinner like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but no later than 5. So then you would have supper. Supper would be at 6 or 7. So you'd have 4 meals a day, not 3. So it's not breakfast, lunch, and dinner like we have now. We would have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and supper. So supper was a light meal, but it would be a full meal at the table, but you would have supper. So I remember that as a little girl. So now we don't have supper. To now with our schedules, when you have jobs that you're working late until the evenings, sometimes we have dinner at 9 o'clock. There I am in the kitchen cooking up a dinner meal, a full meal at 9, and sometimes we're eating at 10. So our lifestyles have changed, times have changed, so even that has changed. And I think about holiday meals, that too was different. The kids didn't always used to eat with the adults. Oh my gosh, Forerunner getting way too close to me in front of me. But for holiday meals, the children had their own table, the children's table, sometimes in another room. And the adults all ate in the formal dining room area. And I remember doing that as a child, having to sit at the child's table. And then when I got old enough, there came the day when I was actually old enough to sit and eat with the other adults. So that was a big thing. I don't know if that happens much anymore. Everybody kind of eats together. So I don't know if there's another, a children's table during holiday meals, but that was a big thing. And when I think about our times, dating was different back then. Dating was different. I think it was more gentlemanly and more ladylike as far as dating. The big thing is, when I was in high school and even college was, if you wanted to go out with someone, if a guy asked you out, you could not go out with anybody who asked you on a Thursday. You know why? Because the girls that he wanted to go out with, he already asked to go out on Monday or Tuesday, and he was turned down. So by the time Thursday got here, you were the girls that he would call up on Thursday that he didn't necessarily want to go out with, but he'd not want to go home. He'd not want to not have a date for the weekend. So he would ask those girls on Thursday. So if anybody asked you on a date on Thursday, even if you wanted to go out with that guy, you had to say no, because you were not his first choice. So, and I remember a couple of guys I wanted to go out with, and they called on like a Thursday, and it's like, oh goodness, can't go out with you. And so you'd politely turn that down and say, well, you know what, ask me earlier because I've already got plans. Of course, did I have plans? No. It was just going to be me and the crew going out on the weekends, you know, Danny, Donald, Trisha, Kelly, that whole crew. We'd be having, you know, our weekend plans. But, you know, as far as a date, could not go out with a guy who asked you on a Thursday because you were not the first choice. And I think chivalry was still alive then, because today it seems that chivalry is dead. You know, it seems like, and it was really proper though, and you would see it all the time where men would open the door for you, and not just like a door going into a building, but your car door. You would actually sit in the car when the car stopped. Your guy, your husband, whoever would go around to your car door and open it. So you would sit there until he actually came and opened the door. Today, I think if you sat in the car, you know, your guy would probably be, you know, walking ahead of you and looking back like, why aren't you coming? Why haven't you got another car? You know, so no one really opens the car doors for women anymore these days. There may be a few guys like that, or a few husbands who are really good who do that, but that's not the norm. The other thing is, when you think about, you know, going to a restaurant or sitting at a dining room table, even at your own home, the guy would come around to your chair, wait for you to sit down, and then push your chair up to the table for you. I haven't had a guy do that for me since prom days in high school. I think that was probably the last time a guy helped me with my chair at a dining room table was prom. Because when you think about the prom, everyone's kind of like on their best behavior, their best manners. So I think that was the last time, because I swear I can't remember the last time somebody pushed my chair up to me at a dining room table. Now I know when I was watching Downton Abbey, all of those old mannerisms and formal manners that I grew up with, I saw them, and you know, some of those things we still need today, because you know, our times really need a little bit more, you know, refined culture. Everything today sometimes seems to be a little bit of crassness going on. Everything, even when it comes to dating, you know, people seem to be a little bit less refined. You know, any and everything is out there on the web about people. People are putting any and everything about themselves when it comes to their whole dating life on the web. So there's nothing left to the imagination these days. So times like that seem to be different. I think that, you know, we can use a little bit more decorum. That would be good. But, you know, when you think about our technology and our times, everything is so fast now. You know, I think about technology, you know, our cell phones are our lives. I know that I'm glued to my phone. But when you think about even just telling the time, years ago there was a number to call. You pick up the phone and dial, not your cell phone, but dial a number to find out what time it was, time and weather. I remember doing that all day long. I think that number still exists, but I don't think people, you know, use that much anymore because our cell phones have everything right there for us. So convenient. Party lines still existed. There were actually real human people, you know, at the phone company. They were actually connecting the phone lines to each other. They were the ones who connected us so we could actually talk. And I remember party lines, picking up the phone and listening if somebody was talking on a party line. You had to put it down and wait till they were done. Then you could use the phone. So that was key. And when you think about watching television, I remember watching Star Trek. And that technology was so new and so high end. And today, a lot of that technology is here. You know, you think about the communicators that could be just like the cell phone. The only thing we don't have, which I still think we need, is the teleportation system. We need that. Food replicators would be good too. We need that. And when I think about watching the Jetsons, their technology was way advanced also. Some of those things we have now today. I'm still waiting on the flying cars. You know, I'm still waiting on my flying car. I need that. So those are the two things from those shows that we don't have that we really need. We need flying cars, and we also need the teleport system, so I could just stand on a disc and teleport from one thing to the other. Now in Harry Potter, they had the port, I think they were called port keys. So different items could be a port key. You hold onto that port key and you'd be teleported someplace else. That would work too. You know, I'm all for the wizarding technology too. That would work also. So we need that. So I think with our technology, things are moving so fast. It's not going to be too long before Skynet, iRobot, those things are going to be real. Skynet, I think, is really possible with the advance of AI, artificial intelligence. So I think that, those times, they are coming. When you think about our changing times, it seems like change is the only constant we have in life. Change happens every day, every second of every day. Sometimes change brings us storms. Sometimes it's a little storm. Sometimes the storm is a big storm. Sometimes that storm is the perfect storm, which could also lead to the big old nasty hurricane in our lives. But you must think, those storms don't last forever, even though they seem very, very terrible when we're in them. Change, that storm is going to blow away. It's going to bring us the sunny days. It's going to bring us light, and it's going to bring us the gentle breezes like we have today. It's a gorgeous day today. So when life brings you those storms, just try to batten down the hatches and just know it's not going to last forever. Bring out the umbrella, put on your rain gear, and just endure it, because it's not going to be there forever. The big thing you have to do is remember that regardless of the storms that life may bring you, that you're going to withstand those. So just remember to always get up, dress up, and show up every single day. Live life to the fullest. Seize every day. It's so important. Don't let a day be wasted. Do everything you need to do in every day. Do something for yourself every day, because it's all we have, and time is not our friend. Time is our enemy. So we don't know what's happening. We could be here today and be gone this afternoon. So be sure that you're enjoying life to the fullest and doing everything you can to seize every moment, carpe diem all the time. And that's all I have, people. I will see you soon as well. So try to get out and enjoy this day today. It's gorgeous. It's not too hot. The breeze is lovely. And I'm going to continue to listen to my Brahms or whatever classical music I have on NPR. So see you later, alligator. Bye.